GoFo English. American kids teach Chinese kids. Children come to school in the U.S. It feels like home. Global enrollment.
He was asleep in a short time, and he dreamed of Africa when he was a boy. The long golden beaches and the white beaches, so white they hurt your eyes, and the high capes and the great brown mountains. He lived along that coast now every night, and in his dreams he heard the surf roar and saw the native boats come riding through it. He smelt the tar and opium of the deck, and he slept, and he smelled the smell of Africa that the land breeze brought at morning. Usually when he smelt the land breeze, he woke up and dressed to go with the boy. But tonight, the smell of the land breeze came very early, and he knew it. It was too early in his dream, and went on dreaming to see the white peaks of the island rising from the sea. And then he dreamed the different harbors and roadsteads of the Canary Islands. He no longer dreamed of storms, nor of women, nor of great occurrences, nor of great fish, nor of fights, nor contests of strength, nor of his wife. He only dreamed of places now and of the lions on the beach. They played like young cats in the dust, and he loved them as he loved the boy. He never dreamed about the boy. He simply woke, looked out the open door at the moon, and rolled his trousers and put them on. He urinated outside the shack, and then went up to the road to wake the boy. He was shivering with the morning cold, but he knew he would shiver himself warm, and that soon he would be rowing. The door of the house where the boy lived was unlocked, and he opened it and walked in quietly with his bare feet. The boy was asleep on a cot in his first room, and the old man could see him clearly with the light that came in from the dying moon. He took hold of one foot gently and held it until the boy woke and turned and looked at him. The old man nodded, and the boy took his trousers from the chair by the bed and, sitting on the bed, pulled them on. The old man went out the door, and the boy came after him. He was sleepy, and the old man put his arm across his shoulders and said, "I'm sorry." "Kova," the boy said. "It is what a man must do." They walked down the road to the old man's shack, and all along the road, in the dark, barefoot men were moving, carrying the masts of their boats. When they reached the old man's shack, the boy took the rolls of line in the basket and the harpoon and gaff, and the old man carried the mast with the furled sail on his shoulder. "Do you want coffee?" the boy asked. "We'll put the gear in the boat and then get some." They had coffee from condensed milk cans at an early morning place that served fishermen. "How did you sleep, old man?" the boy asked. He was waking up now, although it was still hard for him to leave his sleep. "Very well, Manolin," the old man said. "I feel confident today." "So do I," the boy said. "Now I must get your sardines and mine, and your fresh baits, and he brings our gear himself. He never wants anyone to carry anything. We're different," the old man said. "I let you carry things when you were 5 years old?" "I know it," the boy said. "I'll be right back. Have another coffee. We have credit here." He walked off barefooted on the coral rocks to the ice house where the baits were stored. The old man drank his coffee slowly. It was all he would have all day, and he knew that he should take it. For a long time now, eating had bored him, and he never carried a lunch. He had a bottle of water in the bow of his skiff, and that was all he needed for the day. The boy was back now with the sardines and the two baits wrapped in a newspaper, and they went down the trail to the skiff, feeling the pebbled sand under their feet, and lifted the skiff and slid her into the water. "Good luck, old man. Good luck," the old man said. He fitted the rope lashings of the oars onto the throw pins, and, leaning forward against the thrust of the blades in the water, he began to row out of the harbor in the dark. There were other boats from the other beaches going out to sea, and the old man heard the dip and push of their oars, even though he could not see them now. The moon was below the hills. Sometimes someone would speak in a boat, but most of the boats were silent except for the dip of the oars. They spread apart after they were out of the mouth of the harbor and each one headed for the part of the ocean where he hoped to find fish. The old man knew he was going far out, and he left the smell of the land behind and rode out into the clean early morning smell of the ocean. He saw the phosphorescence of the Gulf weed in the water as he rode over the part of the ocean that the fishermen called the Great Well, because there was a sudden deep of 700 fathoms where all sorts of fish congregated because of the swirl the current made against the steep walls of the floor of the ocean. Here, there were concentrations of shrimp and bait fish and sometimes schools of squid in the deepest holes, and these rose close to the surface at night, where all the wandering fish fed on them. In the dark, the old man could feel the morning coming, and as he rode, he heard the trembling sound as flying fish left the water and the hissing that their stiff-set wings as they soared away in the darkness. He was very fond of flying fish, as they were his principal friends on the ocean. He was sorry for the birds, especially the small, delicate, dark terns that were always flying and looking and almost never finding. And he thought, the birds have a harder life than we do, except for the robber birds and the heavy, strong ones. Why did they make birds so delicate and fine as those sea swallows, when the ocean can be so cruel? She is kind and very beautiful, but she can be so cruel, and it comes so suddenly, and such birds that fly, dipping and haunting, with their small, sad voices, are made too delicately for the sea. He always thought of the sea as la mar, which is what people call her in Spanish when they love her. Sometimes those who love her say bad things of her, but they are always said as though she were a woman. Some of the younger fishermen, those who used buoys as floats for their lines and had motorboats bought when the shark livers had brought much money, spoke of her as El Mar, which is masculine. They spoke of her as a contestant, or a place, or even an enemy. But the old man always thought of her as feminine, and as something that gave or withheld great favors. And if she did wild or wicked things, it was because she could not help them. The moon affects her as it does a woman, he thought. He was rowing steadily, and it was no effort for him, since he kept well within his speed, and the surface of the ocean was flat, except for the occasional swirls of the current. He was letting the current do a third of the work, and as it started to be light, he saw he was already further out than he had hoped to be at this hour. I worked the deep wells for a week and did nothing, he thought. Today I'll work out where the schools of Benito and Albacore are, and maybe there will be a big one with them. Before it was really light, he had his baits out and was drifting with the current. One bait was down 40 fathoms. The second was at 75, and the third and fourth were down in the blue water at 100 and 125 fathoms. Each bait hung down, with the shank of the hook inside the bait fish, tied and sewed solid, and all the projecting part of the hook, the curve and the point, was covered with fresh sardines. Each sardine was hooked through both eyes, as they made a Gulf garland on the projecting still. There was no part of the hook that a great fish could feel which was not sweet-smelling and good-tasting. The boy had given him two fresh small tunas, or albacores, which hung on the two deepest lines like plummets, and on the others he had a big blue runner and a yellow jack that had been used before, but they were in good condition still, and had the excellent sardines to give them scent and attractiveness. Each line, as thick around as a big pencil, was looped into a green sap stick, so that any pull or touch on the bait would make the stick dip, and each line had 42 phantom coils, which could be made fast to the other spare coils, so that if it were necessary, a fish could take out over 300 fathoms of line. Now, the man watched the dip of 3 sticks over the side of the skiff, and rowed gently to keep the line straight up and down and at their proper depths. It was quite light, and any moment now the sun would rise. The sun rose thinly from the sea, and the old man could see the other boats low on the water and well in toward the shore. spread out across the current. Then the sun was brighter, and the glare came on the water, and then, as it rose clear, the flat sea tilted back at his eyes so that it hurt sharply. He rowed without looking into it. He looked down into the water and watched the lines that went straight down into the dark of the water. He kept them straighter than anyone did, and that at each level in the darkness of the stream there would be bait waiting exactly where he wished it to be, for any fish that swam there. Others let them drift with the current, and sometimes they were at 60 centimes when the fishermen thought they were at 100. But he thought, I keep them with precision, only I have no luck any more. But who knows, maybe today, every day is a new day. It is better to be lucky, but I would rather be exact. Then, when luck comes, you are ready. The sun was 2 hours higher now, and it did not hurt his eyes so much to look into the east. There were only 3 boats in sight now, and they showed very low and far inshore. All my life the early sun has hurt my eyes, he thought, yet they are still good. In the evening I can look straight into it without getting the blackness. It had more force in the evening too, but in the morning it is painful. Just then he saw a man-of-war bird with his long black wings circling in the sky ahead of him. He made a quick drop, slanting down on his back-swept wings, and then circled again. He's got something, the old man said aloud. He's not just looking. He rowed slowly and steadily towards where the bird was circling. He did not hurry, and he kept his line straight up and down. But he crowded the current a little, so that he was still fishing correctly, though faster than he would have fished if he was not trying to use the bird. The bird went higher in the air and circled again, his wings motionless. Then he dove suddenly, and the old man saw a flying fish spurt out of the water and sail desperately over the surface. Dolphin, the old man said aloud, big dolphin. He shipped his oars and brought a small line from under the bow. It had a wire leader and a medium-sized hook, and he baited it with one of the sardines. He let it go over the side and then made it fast to a ring bolt in the stern. Then he baited another line and left it coiled in the shade of the bow. He went back to rowing and to watching the long-winged black bird who was working now, low over the water. As he watched the bird dip again, slanting his wings for the dive, and then swinging them wildly and ineffectually as he followed the flying fish. The old man could see the slight bulge in the water, but the big dolphin raised as they followed the escaping fish. The dolphin were cutting through the water below the flight of the fish. Could be in the water, diving at speed. When the fish dropped, it is a big school of dolphin, he thought. They are widespread, and the flying fish have little chance. The bird has no chance. The flying fish are too big for him, and they go too fast. He watched the flying fish burst out again and again in an ineffectual movement of the bird. That school had gotten away from me, he thought. They are moving out too fast and too far. But perhaps I will pick up a stray, and perhaps my big fish is around them. My big fish must be somewhere. The clouds over the land now rose like mountains, and the coast was only a long green line with the gray-blue hills behind it. The water was a dark blue now, so dark that it was almost purple. As he looked down into it, he saw the red sifting of the plankton in the dark water, and the strange light the sun made now. He watched his lines to see them go straight down out of sight into the water, and he was happy to see so much plankton because it meant fish. The strange light the sun made in the water, now that the sun was higher, meant good weather, so did the shape of the clouds over the land. But the bird was almost out of sight now. Nothing showed on the surface of the water but some patches of yellow, sun-bleached sargasso weed, and the purple formalized, iridescent, gelatinous bladder of a Portuguese man of war floating close beside the boat. It turned on its side and then righted itself. It floated cheerfully as a bubble with its long, deadly purple filaments trailing a yard behind it in the water. Agua mala, the man said. You whore. From where he swung lightly against his oars, he looked down into the water and saw the tiny fish that were colored like the trailing filaments. and swam between them, and under the small shade the bubble made as it drifted.
Thank you for Milan for your reading.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan, you already from Nara to Kyoto? Jordan, you at home now?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I don't know when you came to our meeting room. We have a newcomer, first timer. Chilingo is in city of Hangzhou. Chilingo,
Yes.
how much percent you understand of this novel?
Maybe 20%.
20%. Awesome. Jordan, how much percent you understood?
Yeah.
Maybe 80 to 100%.
82
to 100.
100% you can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know a lot of fishing equipment words?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. Because you are fishing in Japan?
No.
Nope. How do you know the fishing words? Boat, skiff, harpoon, etc. The words is new. The words are new for me.
Mm-hmm.
Milan, more. The old words you know in these pages, right?
I know the boating terms and the fishing terms, and I also have a question for everyone in the group. If about the fish, does anyone understand like all the types of fish that they are talking about in the passage?
Thank you. Please. Milan, you have question to ask us? Student Jordan and Chilingo?
Yeah, so my question was, can anyone like identify any of the fish that was talked about? Like, yeah, I guess like one would be like sardines. It's a form of fish that usually is in a can. And the old man and the boy was talking about eating sardines for dinner as well.
Yes, tuna, dolphin.
Hmm.
Jordan, I can't. I don't know fish. I don't know flower. I don't know cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And could you figure out what kinds of fishes do you know, Jordan and Chilingo?
GoFo English. American kids teach Chinese kids. Global enrollment.